The thing about crossbows is that they break a lot of rules in archery. Crossbow bolts fly way faster than arrows are supposed to fly, and we're continually pushing the limits of how fast we can get a crossbow to shoot. Now, there's nothing wrong with this. It just means that we have to be extremely selective when it comes to what broadhead we decide to put on the end of that crossbow bolt. If you're in the market for a crossbow broadhead, you can't just go select any broadhead. You have to be very selective because crossbows break the rules. The rule that I'm referring to is the golden rule of arrow building, which is that arrows fly best between 270 to 280-ish feet per second. And once we start pushing our arrows or bolts beyond that speed, we lose some flight characteristics that are crucial to our success, and especially when we put a fixed blade broadhead on the end, or any broadhead for that matter. So what goes into a crossbow broadhead and what makes a crossbow broadhead a crossbow broadhead? Well, I get asked that a lot working for a broadhead company. So I'm going to answer that today. What makes a good crossbow broadhead? So the first thing is that a good crossbow broadhead has to be weight centered. And what do I mean by this? What I mean is that if you look at a field point or a mechanical broadhead, you see that pretty much all of the weight is in line with the arrow shaft. And that's really important because there's no weight outside, or very little weight outside of that arrow shaft's line to start to control the arrow or bolt from the front end. We don't want that happening. Of course, when we use a fixed blade head, that kind of goes out the window to a large extent. It's a fixed blade, so a lot of the weight has to fall outside of that line. We call that line the ferrule. Now, the thing is, fixed blades tend to perform better at those high crossbow speeds. A lot of guys want to be shooting fixed blades out of crossbows, but because of the inherent nature of a fixed blade design with a lot of that weight being outside of the ferrule, it can make it really challenging for some broadheads to fly, or they might just never fly out of crossbows. And remember, the faster we go with your crossbow, the more difficulty you're going to have trying to find a fixed blade that will fly right. So a good crossbow broadhead is one that is compact in nature. It's weight centered, meaning as much of the weight as possible is in line with the arrow shaft in the ferrule. Like, for example, I'll put it up here, our 1-inch V series. This is widely known as the world's best fixed blade broadhead for crossbows because it's the most weight centered fixed blade that exists, period. It's bulletproof, it flies out of anything. It's compact, it's weight centered, and it's got venting in the blades, which is really key because that allows air to pass through. When that arrow or bolt is spinning really fast at high speeds, if there's no venting in the blades like our solid models, then the blades are going to start to act like vanes at the back and steer your arrow from the front end, which is not what we want. That's called planing. And again, the faster you're pushing your bolt, the more this is going to happen. So it's very important that you have weight centered, compact, and vented. So when people ask us, what's the difference between your crossbow broadheads and regular broadheads? Well, the answer is that our crossbow broadheads are just our regular broadheads that are best suited to crossbows, and that is the 1-inch V series. Now, there are a lot of people who are shooting the XL V series with great success out of crossbows, but just that point of going a little bit more compact with the 1-inch is going to help. Now, if you want to shoot a bigger broadhead, the XL, for example, 100 grains versus 125 grains, always weight up if you can, and it works for your setup, for the reason being, when we add that extra 25 grains between the 100 and the 125, for example, that 25 grains goes directly into the ferrule. That's more weight centered, it's more weight in line with the arrow shaft. Same holds true for all of our solid models. And some people actually find really good success with the solid 1-inch models out of their crossbows, like the 150 grain 1-inch solid, because it is so weight centered. It's the same thing as our 1-inch 100 grain solid, except that we have 50 more grains in the ferrule. That is a massive increase in its weight centeredness. So some people have good success with that as well. But when in doubt, that 1-inch 100 grain V series is just the broadhead for you. Now, what about fixed blades versus mechanicals? There are mechanicals that are made for crossbows and they can work really well. But the thing about crossbow mechanicals is that they need tighter retention systems than compound ones. So it actually is going to take a lot of energy to open those up. And if you choose to use a standard compound mechanical head, you really do run the risk of it opening in flight, and that is an absolute disaster. In general, the belief is that fixed blades are the best option out of crossbows if you can get one that flies with your field points, and we do. And you can too, and it doesn't have to be tooth of the arrow broadheads, it can be anything really. But now you have the tools and knowledge to know what goes into a good crossbow broadhead, and it doesn't have to say crossbow broadhead in the name for it to work. With this knowledge and these few fundamentals that a good crossbow broadhead needs to have, you can go look at any broadhead on the market and assess for yourself whether or not it's going to be a good broadhead for a crossbow. Like I say, I definitely recommend you check out Tooth of the Arrow broadheads. We have a full 90-day money-back guarantee, so if you try them and you hate them, you can just send them back and get your money back within 90 days. I definitely recommend it, but I'm not on this channel to sell our broadheads to you. I'm on this channel to provide knowledge to you, and if that knowledge brings you back to us and our product, then that makes me happy as well. But at the end of the day, this is about education, and I hope you guys learned something from this today. Thank you so much for watching.